The Canola School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by BASF Canada and Invigor Hybrid Canola.
This is Real Agriculture, and I am Amber Bell. For today's episode of Canola School, I'm going to be joined by Yarnell of BASF. Now, we're going to be talking about blackleg. We're going to be talking about the disease itself, what it looks like to cut stems at swath timing in order to gauge infection, and we're going to be speaking about long-term what growers can do in order to mitigate the disease going forward in some of our fields. So stay tuned for the conversation.
Blackleg is a disease that generally is going to infect your canola quite earlier in the year. That cotyledon to two-leaf stage is where we see it do the most damage in terms of yield. So really, we want to be preventative when we're looking at managing blackleg. A big indicator of what your pressure might be this year is looking at what your pressure was historically. So unfortunately, by the time you're seeing symptoms, if you are seeing symptoms on your early stage canola, you don't really have a lot of management options. So you're wanting to look the previous year to understand what your historical pressure has been. So cutting through those blackleg stems at that swath timing, looking for that characteristic black or brown staining on the inside is really what's going to tell you what your pressure could potentially be for the coming year.
Is there a way, if we can find old fields with some straw, can we still look and see if we had blackleg last year?
Somewhat you can, but unfortunately, once you're past that swath timing, at that combining stage or afterwards, it can be really hard to diagnose what's blackleg versus other diseases, whether that's seedling diseases, verticillium stripe if you're in the eastern part of the prairies. So you can always send in your samples to an accredited seed lab. I know on the Canola Council of Canada website, they have listed by provinces labs that you can send samples in to get a proper diagnosis.
Right. And okay, let's say a grower, they know they had blackleg last year, yeah, and they are going to be planting canola again. What would be some of the first things that they should be thinking about? What should they be doing? And how high of an incidence of blackleg is a concern that, they might need to start addressing it?
For sure. So if you saw blackleg last year, that's a really good indicator that you might have pressure this year. In addition, conditions are going to really influence your blackleg pressure. Similar to most diseases, high humidity, high moisture is going to increase your pressure. As well, if you're getting wounds in your plants, that can also influence it. So blackleg is pretty opportunistic, that if you're having flea beetles or winds blowing soil or different conditions that damage your plants, that can create easy infection points for those plants. In addition, the timing I mentioned before, that cotyledon to two-leaf stage, Dr. Gary Pang has done research that shows that's where you're going to lose the most yield. So it's really protecting those little plants that it's going to be essential to
And what can growers
that.
do to protect their plants? What are they looking at?
So ideally, we're doing multiple things to protect our plants. Integrated pest management, familiar probably to a lot of us listening. So a key would be using canola hybrids rated R, or resistant to blackleg. I know the Invigor canola hybrids, all of them have that R for resistance and utilize both minor as well as major gene resistance. So making sure you have that combo in there can be really important. Making sure your canola rotation is long, ideally looking for a minimum of 1 of 3 years in canola. Obviously, that can be hard to do, that we understand that farming is a business, right? So trying as much as possible to lengthen that rotation. And if you've had high disease pressure in the past, utilizing a fungicide such as Nexicor fungicide can be beneficial for protecting those little plants.
Can seed treatments help?
They can. There are some that are rated for blackleg, but using all of the tools in the toolbox
altogether
is really going to be the best option for keeping those pathogen populations low and protecting that yield potential.
And it's really interesting too, because realistically at this stage, there are a lot of things that can attack the plants.
Yeah,
they're not strong yet. Using integrated pest management or using a plan is going to help with your yields in the long run, no matter what.
For sure.
And what would you say as words of encouragement to producers that maybe are struggling with blackleg?
if you've had a lot of pressure in the past, I know that a lot of canola companies, BASF definitely included within there, are continuing to work on the genetic side to have that under control, as well as the fungicide aspect. Having those multiple strategies to throw at them. The industry does see the raising blackleg levels over the past few years. I know with the provincial surveys in Saskatchewan this past year, kind of showing that increase of blackleg pressure overall, that it does continue to be a priority for BASF as well as the industry as a whole, to continue to try and manage all the different yield robbers that we see here with canola.
That's great. Well, thank you very much. It was so great seeing you. And that was Lori Yarnell on Real Agriculture.